Hey guys, it's Krystal Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor. Krystal Moore, this is Realtor Life. And guys, I have a treat. We are so excited. We're going to be talking today with Brandon Rudd of Shut the Front Door Improv. Hi, Brandon.
Hello. Are you having a
So
great day?
excited.
I am.
Oh, such a great day. Guys, so we talk a lot about all the different things we do for training, and some of them are very intense and very serious. One of the things I've recently been doing for fun, but also for training is improv. So, Brandon, before we dive into the excitement that improv is, can you tell us a little bit about you and how you got involved with improv?
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me. This is so much fun and so exciting. The improv is everything I want to talk about. So thanks for having me. Yeah. So my name's Brandon Rudd. I'm one of the founders of Shut the Front Door Improv. We were founded as a not-for-profit in 2013. But comedy's always been sort of in my blood. It used to be early days of Saturday Night Live, Kids in the Hall, Second City. So I was always really attracted to comedy. The other thing that it really helped me was navigate through difficult situations in life that we all have encountered throughout our life as kids, adolescents on the schoolyard. So early on, I realized that comedy was a way to neutralize situations, and so that really helped me understand. As I got into getting older, I got further away from comedy. And kind of came back in my early 20s, where I studied at Second City, Chicago, the Impatient Theater in Toronto, and several workshops and training opportunities along the way. So it's been a great journey. I would say my journey really officially started in improv probably in about 2008, 2009. In a very small group after I trained in a very small group called Stone Soup Comedy Troupe. And that was my first official foray. And then from there came what we now know today as Shut the Front Door Improv.
Amazing, amazing. So as most people know, I moved to London in 2019, and my husband actually was like, you need to check this out. And I remember thinking, oh, do I like, should I do it? And I think there was going to be there's some COVID stuff I saw, and it just it never got the time. I never got the timing right. And then when we
Mhm.
talk guys about networking, some local realtors invited me to an improv day at their office, the Miley Group, as you know. And we got to do this really cool, like I would call it like a taster intro
Mhm.
improv class. It was amazing. And actually, we did an activity where I ended up with one realtor named Emma, and we ended up doing a deal together and felt so much more comfortable because we had done improv.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
very cool.
It's amazing how it creates those organic connections. Like really, I think that's one of the highlights of doing this for so long is understanding that it's not just the misconception is it's about performing or making people laugh, and it really that's how it's presented. But when we think about what it actually is, it's about listening to each other. It's about
Yes.
communicating. It's about understanding, and then creating together. Which I think in any industry or any discipline there's always benefits if you can hone skills that improve the ability to
Yeah.
collaborate.
Well, I think that's really what attracted me to the idea of improv and to want to share today, have you share with everyone, is that something you said in that first workshop, you actually kind of just laid it out exactly like that. Like you can, especially realtors, improv is about kind of training your brain to think fast, to
Mhm.
react, because that's exactly what we do in sales, in customer service. You're presented with a situation and you have to come up in that second with the best thing to say.
Mhm.
And you don't have time to you don't have time to kind of worry that you're not going to do it right.
Right.
Um, so when you decided, so you got into improv with Shut the Front Door, when did the workshops start? Like when did you start kind of branching out to people that maybe weren't familiar with improv?
I'd say probably around 2015, 2016, if my memory serves me correct. I think the first few years were finding our own footing, like our own chemistry. Who are we? Who aren't we? What do we want to accomplish? One
Yeah.
of the actual earliest goals we had was performing with Colin Mockery, and that was within our first 5 year goal. We actually accomplished it in four. So,
So cool.
it was really cool to sort of set parameters out of saying, wow, we're still finding each other. We all have a collective goal we're working towards.
Yeah.
But as far as the workshops go, it was just a little bit more of a groundswell. It was people were coming to our shows, they were watching us month in, month out, just create these fun scenes, this fun atmosphere, and people wanted to get involved. But it wasn't that clear what path to follow. It really was not clear. So for us, we saw the opportunity and said, well, if we've sort of been able to train ourselves and move forward and grow together, let's take a step in the direction to share that with our community. And that really got us on track, not only on helping people with development of skill, but it also really got us connected in our community, which was one of our absolute pillars of existence, is not only helping people but also being really contributing to the community as a whole.
Absolutely. And I can say so, I've actually joined in with the classes and I'm absolutely loving it. And it's not just like, yes, you're learning, it's fun, but it is the camaraderie you see and the bonds that you've built as a group. And I think when you see the layers of
Right.
connection and how much improv is helping, because I think everyone at one point has shared a little bit in their introduction about like how much improv has helped their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're explaining improv to people, what are some of the misconceptions that they will kind of throw at you?
The first one is not interested in performing, right? That's not for me. I never want to be on stage. That's not me. So what would be the point of me coming? I think another one is, but like we associate that with, um, doing something like I would equate people would equate make it or think that it's the same sort of intensity as jumping out of a plane, like skydiving or doing something like that. The statistics obviously have shown years over years is that public speaking is the number one fear. So
Yeah,
anything that smells, feels like it's public speaking,
yeah,
it's almost like a two steps back. So a lot of it is about there's a big benefit in trying it, and the hardest part, and Krystal, I think I've said this every first class I've ever had since we did this was the hardest part was signing up. The second hardest or the hardest part second hardest part was signing up. The first hardest part was showing up. And
yes,
if you show up and you show up with an open mind or even with a reserved mind, it's okay.
yes,
We know we have to earn um, trust from people. And we're asking them to do things that are counterintuitive to what their body wants them to do. And so as a result, we know full well, and we want to make it as welcoming, as supportive, as inclusive as people want to be. We don't
yes,
force them. And that's the biggest thing is that when you ask somebody to get out of their comfort zone, even a little bit, you have to understand what that means. And that's not only just, what could happen, like all the scenarios or use cases that might happen, but you also have to understand what if it does happen, how am I going to help them? Right. Because they're taking valuable time out of their schedules, out of their lives to come and try something new, which should be applauded every single time and supported. And I'm grateful to say that, after the first hour of our first class, you start seeing walls come down. You start
yeah,
seeing communication happening. You start seeing camaraderie start to start to foster. And that's the beauty of it is that I reflect after our classes or I drop in and said 90 minutes or 2 hours or 3 hours ago, you were all strangers. What can we take away? What did we learn today? And it's phenomenal how quickly once we get past that trust level is how quickly the connections happen.
yeah. And I mean, and I think that that really is like beyond being good in a sales presentation and adding those skills, which I mean, obviously very important. What I also really liked is that it kind of breaks down this like treadmill of working all the time, working all the time, working all the time that
Mm-hmm.
we as entrepreneurs we fall into. Like it's like a badge of honor is to say that you're always busy. And what I really
Mm-hmm.
like, and we were talking about this, I think this week, it's that it's playtime. It's actually helping you, so you're not wasting your time, but it's actually like reminding yourself that you can just have fun, unplug. You don't have to be attached to the phone 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and I applaud anybody who can take that time and carve that time out. The way I try and help people understand is it's investing in the way that you show up, right? Like how you show up as in your professional life, how you show up in your personal life,
Yeah.
how you show up into your community, or maybe a local organization or charity you work with. It's how the version of you that's showing up. So anybody that I've ever encountered that's been successful has been able to put those parameters around that says I have to feed me as well, right?
Yes.
If we take time to eat or take a drink or sleep, we should also build in that time to build us, build our skills, build our self-esteem, build our
Yes.
confidence, build our laugh bank. I can't remember the statistic, but
I love
there was
that.
one that says like I think we lose, like when we become adults, we laugh 10 times less. And it's
I've heard that.
something
Kids are like, I
huge.
think it's like 1,000 times a day a child will laugh, and like we'll maybe five or six.
Like, yeah.
And it's like, and I tend to exaggerate. So it might be less than 1,000, but that's the thing, right? Everything's so serious when you're a grown up.
And again, like I've taken it, so I'm a father of two daughters under the age of 10, and so basically I've taken that and just the attitude within the household, and just like we can look at a problem two ways. We can laugh about it and find a solution, or we can dwell on the things that aren't working and blame everybody else.
Yep.
Either way, it's going to take energy, and it's how we're showing up. So the question here is, how are you going to show up? And I think when you give yourself the permission to show up and do something for yourself, I always say give yourself 30 or 60 days and then ask friends, how have I been? What have you noticed about me in the last 30 or 60 days? Because chances are you're in a better mood more often. You
Yep.
see challenges that are still challenges, but you see them in maybe less of a threatening light, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which also I think speaks to the building of confidence of I can take on this challenge. I might not have the energy right now, I might not have the solution right now, but
Yep.
I have the tools that I can leverage to move through this. And I
Absolutely.
think I have a tremendous amount of respect for entrepreneurs and those who are, their job just doesn't end at 5:01, right? It's a really tough sled to do. And so if you're always sort of at people's disposal and have to be around the clock in contact, it takes real discipline to be able to sort of shut that off and say I'm investing in me. But I always said if you feel like it's a challenge or what have you, tell people you're investing. Like it's no different than going to a seminar, taking an online course, reading a book, watching Netflix. I'm sure there's difference of opinions there, but it depends what you watch. If you
Yeah.
watch things that work your brain, I would say you're using the same amount of energy as you would in improv. If you're watching maybe stuff that is
Yeah.
very relaxing and you don't have to think, well, Netflix may win that round.
But even, I mean, we talk a lot about combating burnout, right? So burnout in for entrepreneurs especially is very, very real. And the thing is, like, having the ability to realize that if something is an appointment for you, it's just like going to an appointment for a client.
Right.
You cannot fill from an empty cup, right? So if you're depleted, it doesn't matter if you even if you're going 24 hours a day, you're not giving your best you, and you're not going
Right.
to, even if you get the deal or get the sale, you that success is going to be pretty bad if you can't get out of bed because you're burned out. So
Mm-hmm.
but you said something that really, I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. I think I
Mm-hmm.
quote him at least once an episode, if not once a month. But
Check.
he actually touches on this, and he said, like, what's funny about this? Like, if something's going on, you just stop yourself. What is funny about this? And I think it's a more serious way of saying exactly what you just said, which is that we need to figure out, like, how can we laugh more? How can we enjoy more? Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of this road, you're going to look back and you're not going to say like, oh, like why didn't I work a little bit extra? It's going to be like, why didn't I have more fun? Why didn't I spend more time with my family and my friends? Right?
And meaningful time, not just spending time, not just being in the same
Yes.
room, but like playing it. This sounds so simple, but playing a card game that gets you animated, or a game of
Yes.
charades, or something that gets you engaged in learning about each other. And improv does this all over the place, right? It's
So does.
especially for on team building and especially in trying to learn about each other. My goodness, there's endless tools available to in improv to help people with that. And just on that note of famous people named Robbins. I believe it's Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
Isn't that the author for Let Them?
The let them theory, absolutely.
The let them theory, yeah. So I am a big fan of that. What happens if that doesn't happen today? Was that the right, you may be doing yourself a favor
Yep.
by taking that hour or two to invest in yourself. And you might feel in the moment that you're missing the opportunity, and maybe you are. But maybe there's the other opportunity that you wouldn't have been able to take because you
Exactly.
took that one and that was better for you. So again, it helps with a mindset, but there's a lot of things in improv and techniques that we teach in our classes that really are transferable to every aspect of your life. That's what kind of makes it hard to market improv, because it sounds like miracle drug or like fix everything. And really that's not the slogan, but the slogan is, if you focus on what you want to improve on,
Yeah.
there's tools and game plans and curriculum that can help you with that. And not only that, it's just a takeaway and then you forget about it. You're already doing improv right now. You already do improv in your life.
Yeah.
You're just not pointing at it and calling it. You're just doing life.
Yeah.
And but you everybody has the tool belt, the improv tool belt.
And
It's
that's,
just you don't recognize it sometimes.
yeah, well, and that's actually, it's a very, very smooth segue because so let's say, right, where you're hearing this podcast and you're like, I am not like adding a weekly improv class to my life. Like I can barely
Mhm.
sleep, I can barely eat. So there's a solution for that. So you offer workshops, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
we
tell us
offer
about the the customizable workshops.
Yeah, so customizable workshops. The beauty of it is that I've learned in over 20 years of doing corporate. I'm very entrepreneur minded. I've learned that structures and systems that make it easy for people to engage is the name of the game. So for us, working when you work with Shut the Front Door Improv and request a custom workshop, um, this is an experience where it's really easy for the organizers to engage, to identify areas of opportunity that they want specific specific skill sets around and specific focus on. So everything can be customizable. We usually recommend about a 2 to 3 hour sort of session, and the reason for that is just over the years we've learned that we need to take some time to build the trust in the room, and then from there the success rate of not only being able to have contributions from participants, but also them having a higher rate of retention and taking away and utilizing the skills is higher. So that's kind of why we recommend that. But we can do full days, multi days. It is very expandable. The beauty about improv is with that we can focus on sales, communication, customer service. Maybe it's creative thinking. Maybe it's team building, right? All of those things play such a large role, and especially in the industry that you work in, Krystal. I mean, it really does play a lot. You're constantly collaborating with people you may not know. You're constantly working. You're constantly engaged with people, potential clients that you need to know how they think in a pretty short time frame. So these
Absolutely.
workshops are designed with the outcome in mind first. So we always ask the question when we're doing our consultation about, when your attendees walk out of this session, what feeling or what takeaways do you need them to have or do you expect
Love
them to
it.
have? And then
Yes,
we build it backwards.
absolutely.
So,
And yeah, so here, keep going. Sorry, I'm all excited.
oh, no, no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so like when, so one thing I had mentioned earlier, so a lot of people that are listening, you might just be a solopreneur or you're just working on your own. So there is the opportunity to band together with other colleagues or to reach out to, like, for example, with Royal LePage, we have our broker, and every real estate company, most of them have a broker that kind of could maybe even facilitate a larger group. And it becomes way more manageable to just say, I really want to do this. Let's find people to do it together. If you are listening and you run a team, even better, you can do one just for yourself. But that's how I got connected. Colleagues created one and invited everyone, right? So there's that opportunity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would almost say that in all cases those have value, but I for me personally, I get the excitement behind the banding together and having
Yes.
multiple maybe realtors who don't know each other or know each other just through some affiliation,
Yeah.
because you get to learn more about it. And I can just say that the DNA of collaboration, of fruitful collaboration and supportive collaboration, really exists when you go through something that you're both nervous about or maybe you're apprehensive about together, right? That's a shared experience that nobody can take away from you. So when you do that, it kind of is a character build a little bit, I think, for you individually. But I also think it's like this great opportunity of walking out and going, and like you said at the top of the podcast today, you had a partner in this shared
Yeah.
space and then brokered a deal that went well because for both
Yeah.
parties, because you kind of already had learned a little bit about each other and had some FaceTime where
Absolutely.
it wasn't something in front of you had to accomplish. And I think we lose focus a lot on the value of, you know, not necessarily, I don't like calling it a game, but I mean, learn the rules, learn the people, learn the stuff before you
Yeah.
need to use it, not learn it while you're using it. Using the analogy of, learning how to fly the plane when you're already in the air.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us so warm and
Uh-oh.
fuzzy. So, yeah. Oh, he's reading the manual in the cockpit, or she's reading the manual in the cockpit. Well, that's not exactly what we want to hear over the PA, right? So,
Exactly, exactly. Okay, now this is so cool. And so I've been doing after I did the first workshop, did the second workshop, and then got to do the classes. And it's just a really cool, I do find what's nice is that the workshop gives you a taste. So, and it's scary, but it's not super hard. But as you get into it, there's layers, and we talked about this. It's very much, I find, very much like a real life experience with real estate
mm-hmm,
or with any entrepreneur endeavor, is that you have to fail nicely,
mm-hmm,
fail forward, but you have to fail to learn. So it's not always going to be sunshine and roses. So if you can learn from those mistakes, if you can look at every single thing you do as a step in the right direction, it is such a healthy way to grow versus thinking like I have to be perfect, and if I'm not perfect, then I might as well just give up, because that's not life.
yeah. It's not. And really one of the biggest things that that's a constant within my life, personally, professionally, is the journey to consistency. And I say, I joke and I say, like, if some people really are attracted to excitement, but I think there's positive excitement and negative excitement. For me,
Yeah.
one of the things that improv has helped me with is my ADHD. I just earlier this year was diagnosed with ADHD officially. Um, Always figured I had it, always figured out how to manage it or work around it,
Yeah.
which actually really gave me some solid foundation for strong problem solving skills, because the easy things in life were not easy. So I think improv definitely helped leverage that for me. But where I was basically going with that is understanding, having improv there, it's always supportive, right? And the develop the consistency not only helps me manage ADHD, but it just calms my life. And when I say calms my life, it doesn't suck it free of fun. It's just the things that aren't supposed to be, chaotic or, exciting in a bad way, are managed. And so a lot of to your comment, there will be ebbs and flows as you go through it. But if you're looking at it going, if I can have out of 10 scenes, I start off and I do one scene or one game or one activity, and I feel like I did well at it, then that's 1 out of 10. And then week over week, you start seeing I'm 2 out of 10, I'm 5 out of 10, I'm 7 out of 10. You're never going to be really be 10 out of 10. I'm never 10 out of 10, right? And improvisers across the world would probably agree with that. Is that some days you're on and you can't
Yeah.
miss, and other days you are. Similar to athletes as well. So I think it's so important to remember that the journey is the win, not the necessarily the outcome.
Absolutely.
And the consistency is really the barometer there of do I feel like I'm successful. But I think there's other indicators. While I say that, I think the big indicators is like asking your friend, for new improvisers, ask them after 30 or 60 days of doing
Yeah.
improv, have you
I love
seen
that.
anything I do differently? Have I changed anyway? Have you, like, is there
Yeah.
anything here? And again, with people you trust their opinions, and ones that can give you honest opinions are
Yeah.
probably good. But I know for me, I'm much affected by when my work impacts me.
Yes.
My whole mood, my whole everything changes, and my authentic self and the version of me that I actually really love doesn't come out. Whereas improv, that's my favorite version.
Yeah.
That is my favorite version of myself because I'm so passionate to share
Yeah.
and to create.
Well, and I think it also comes through because, and I don't know, it's probably like a chicken and egg situation, but I find that the room is like a judgment-free zone. And so, yes,
Yep.
that probably attracts people that are less judgy, but it also, if you're used to being, like I find for me, the biggest hurdle that I'm still trying to get through is getting out of my head. So, and I mentioned this yesterday. So, there's this game and you're just supposed to like jump in and I have such a hard time because I don't want to be like overtaking my turn. So instead of just like for the beginning of it just like enjoying it, I'm like counting to be like, okay, this person went 3 times and they went 2 times, so I just have to wait. And the thing is like that, just when you think about how much we overthink in our careers and our lives, if you can, like, when I was able to kind of take that away for a second, the extra freedom, like the weight off the shoulders, is so big. Um, and it's things like that that I really think London is not that big, but it's also not that small. And what a great organization you guys have created here,
Thank
right?
you.
And
Thank
such
you.
a, and I think if more, especially more businesses, because I will say, like, even for me, I love, like, I was artsy, I used to love drama, I was in drama, but as a grown up, I haven't done it. And so I was like, oh, the barrier for me was like, oh, well, I'm not good at improv, so I can't go. But then it turns out that the whole point is that no one's like, I mean, maybe you are born, some people good at it, but you learn it and you just figure it out together.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Hmm. Yeah,
I,
I think that a lot of it is around the idea of like it's just us judging ourselves, and it's
yeah,
like it's so hard to help folks get over that mentality and those events early, maybe early on in life. But the way I put into and help people understand is um, all the way through traditional schooling, you would have been taught raise your hand before you speak.
yep,
You would have been taught think before you say something, or if don't say anything silly, depending upon your upbringing. And so there's a lot of these mechanisms that still reside with us and still serve us well in many parts of our life. But it does for all of every time we serve that part of who we are, we find ourselves, taking away from the creative, the fun, the I can make stuff up, I'm creative, and I can
yes.
see things through. And it's just getting the right environment and the right like-minded folks to feel the same way and be there on the journey at the same starting point, right? There's so many people who kind of look around in that first drop-in class and are like, why are they here, right? And we're so quick to understand what that means or what that looks like. So we want to we want to get that out in the open, especially in just in some insight for any drop-ins or any like first classes that we teach. We always ask what made you want to come, right? Because we also try and tailor our individual classes as well to make sure that if we're teaching the fundamentals or we're teaching real takeaway skills that we can point and say, oh, that's to help with public speaking, or that is more about creative thinking and you can do X, Y, and Z to go even further if you wanted. And so you are seeing people come in who are starting new jobs who are, somewhat reluctant and think that they're over their head. I've had somebody
Yeah,
who came in and said, I started a new job and I needed different skills and here I am.
yeah.
I have to say it's the beauty is that there's no expectation from us as as an organization or as instructors that you're going to do something that you like unless you declare you're going to do it, right? And it starts with that.
Very, so very cool. And I think the other thing too, and I don't know if we touched on it yet, but the ability to focus for that long. So I brought it up in a past episode, but Mental Game Academy is this local one of the local boxing gyms. My husband's a coach there, is doing this Mental Game Academy, and they're really focusing on the fact that people looking at all like the reels, TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, it's actually shrinking the part of your brain that focuses. So and that's why they're like, for a mental game, it's for boxing, they need to be able to focus for a minute to 3 minutes, not a long
Mhm,
time. But because these things are all 15, 20 seconds, it's really shrinking that. So I think
mhm.
something like this, where you're in a class, you do have breaks, so it's not a prison, guys, but you're sitting, you're like, let it
That's
be.
right. The locking of the door is because of the gusty wind. Okay, that has nothing to do with obligation.
But you focus, and it's not like no one's on their phones, which is a big deal. But it does take a minute for your brain to shift into, okay, I'm not multitasking right now. I'm all in. And I think
Mhm.
there's so many benefits.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's that's always a challenge that we have. That's why we build in breaks as well. We understand life happens while you're in these sessions, so we want to make sure that we're respectful of that. And again, we're always trying to make sure that we're establishing safe environment, a supportive environment, and build you up. And there's so many activities that are loaded into our first levels that will just establish that as non-negotiable. Right? It really is non-negotiable, or else we're not going to collectively achieve the goals together of having more fun, laughing more, or developing skills and being able to then call the skill out and say, I'm going to put that in my improv tool belt. If we're not in the moment, and that's actually not very much of a secret, but the success one of the success factors in improv is being in the moment and being okay to not have all the answers and not have to build an entire scene. You're not writing a script. You're not building a set on a stage. You're not making costumes for characters. This all happens organically. It's all about exploring and agreeing to explore together. And what some people might not know is that there are actually, for us, 8 rules of improv. Three cores, and then 5 supplementary that help us guide us through the learning, but it also helps us as improvisers if you were to perform, or even just as takeaways in everyday life. So the first three are yes and. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, you'll hear yes and. Yeah.
Neither one.
The second one, yeah, the second one is heighten and explore. So a byproduct of yes and, if you're constantly agreeing and adding something, is that inevitably you will be exploring, right? And so it's you and your partner, in the context of, say, a scene, is building together. And then the third one is making your partner look good. And I emphasize that while a yes and heighten and explore are the fun ones, the ones that people really take to, and you'll see the biggest impact, is actually making your partners look good. And so what that can mean is just agreeing, just ensuring that you're taking something from the offer that they're giving, or what they're suggesting, and just being open minded. I think, I know not every situation necessarily lends itself to that, but the more people feel like you're actively listening to them, you care about their outcome, and
Yes.
that you're trying to find a way to see them succeed without necessarily a direct benefit to you, you will see a relationship change. I promise you. Um, and it could be one way or the other. You could be seeing a one where somebody goes, "Oh, I always thought that you were different, or that you weren't this person," and then they have a newfound appreciation for the relationship. The other side
Absolutely.
of it is potentially, what? Oh, okay. We try to make each other look good, but what makes improv fun is making your partner look good. And if two partners are always trying to make each other look good, you don't have to talk about you don't have to talk about how we're doing, or what we're doing, or why we're doing. You
Right.
just do it, and then you start producing, right? And you produce positive results, produce collaboration, you produce opportunities, and it kind of gets into a snowball if it gets into a nice rhythm. So those are the three things that we really want to anchor on as far as when we teach improv,
Yes.
and especially within sort of the industry that you're in, or any in business in general.
And that's, yeah. And I mean, and I think what's really nice is as you're learning all of the steps and all the rules, you're also realizing that, like, I know for me, I was like, it seems both easy and hard when you watch it, right? So it seems easy for the people on stage, and it seems hard if I ever had to do it. So when you see, like, okay, but there are rules and you can learn it, um, because sometimes it feels like it should be easier just to, like, if someone says, like, okay, we had one exercise where we had to talk the monologue. You had to talk for a minute about a topic that you didn't know about in advance. And I remember, like, I came home and I just started practicing doing that because
Mhm.
it's so interesting that to break through that overthinking and to break through, like, should I say it that way? Or you just don't think, you just start talking for a minute. And it actually got easier. I tried a few topics. It's easier when I'm thinking of them myself, yes. But
A
um,
little help,
a little help, just a bit.
little
But
help.
if people are interested in getting in touch, so what is the best way for them to reach out to you or to sign up for a workshop or a class?
Yeah, so shutthefrontdoor.ca is our website. That's usually where we have a lot of our well, all of our updates. Right now, we're in a little bit of a hiatus, but we are going to actually be starting our free drop-ins, which is basically a public invitation for anybody to come and sort of try it out. We do very welcoming environment. We no experience necessary, and we invite everybody to come out, try improv. We have seasoned performers and instructors there who can answer any of your questions, whether it be about the organization or about the classes, the workshop, the what's the full journey. We're also on socials at STFD Improv on any of those popular social media platforms. You can also email us. You can email at admin@shutthefrontdoor.ca or fill out the form on the website. We're more than happy to respond and answer any questions you have. And yeah, it's really exciting because coming out of summer, we understand that fall. I mean, I can't believe we're talking about fall already, but we're gearing up for probably another big season,
Yeah.
performing at a new venue, giving you some
Excited.
exclusive sneak peeks of what's in store.
Awesome.
We may also be having a community day, so I'm giving
Whoop,
you a
whoop.
little bit of
Nice.
insight. But we
Okay.
are actually going to be just as an insider. This is our first announcement: is that we will have a free drop in on July the 30th,
Wonderful.
from 7 to 9 p.m. We'll also be starting our
Me.
101 level. So that's an entry level for classes. So more details to follow on that. But August 13th, you can circle on your calendar. And then as far as our first show, I believe it's the third week of September. We're just hammering down
Nice.
date and time. So that'll be a kickoff of our, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's our 12th season.
Amazing. Oh, very cool. Um, I love that. Now we brushed past something earlier that I'd like to
Okay,
know more about. So you
sure.
had a goal, you had a 5-year goal to get Colin Mokri on to perform with him. It
Yeah.
happened in 4 years.
Yes.
Tell us more.
So I love I absolutely look at this as one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life, and it's
Amazing.
right up there.
Okay.
So when we started this, we kind of just had the like, what could we make of this? We knew right off the bat it was really it was something we wanted. Ultimately, we wanted to just make people laugh. Like that was the nucleus of all of this. So I just want to make people laugh. And from there, as we started to develop our own and do that, we started bringing special guests. So we started, and big shout out to Naomi Sneakus, who has worked for so many different companies, Second City Main Stage, Toronto grad. Just an absolute wonderful human being. And she was so gracious enough at the time we had a podcast, and she came on
Oh,
our
nice.
podcast and then performed with us. And then from there, we got Patrick McKenna to perform at our show, who is the sidekick on Red Green and
So cool.
Traders. And again, just really great human being. Came out, had several shows with us. So we're building our audience, we're getting the momentum. And then we said, okay, let's do it. So summer, almost, yeah, I guess it's almost 10 years to the, well, 10 years next month
Very cool.
that we had this, and we booked Centennial Hall. We got the date from Colin and his wife Deb, and they performed with our troupe.
Ah,
I learned so much. He was such a professional. Everything we had him do radio spots, rehearsals. I
amazing.
just absolutely above and beyond, not only as a performer but as a human being. And that's, I think, one of the biggest takeaways, and one of my biggest loves of improv is the people you meet are not just people who are there for you know a short time and then sort of like they're a different breed. They're a different
Yeah.
breed of people who are just entrenched in caring, in building together. Like they live and breathe, the yes and the heighten and explore and the making your partner look good. Like they do that as a way of life, and it was
Oh,
just amazing. So that
so
night
cool.
was beyond memorable. The I could not thank them enough. We had a camera crew. Maybe we share some footage sometime about it, but it
Amazing.
was really amazing. And I come to find that may have not been a big fan of some musical numbers, and I may have made them sing. So a double kudos for just saying yes to that when by all means you could have said no. So thank you,
That's fun.
Colin. Thank you, Deb. But
That's
they've
so
been,
funny.
and I was so lucky to see Deb and Colin about a month ago in Toronto,
Ah,
and they were doing a fundraiser for Gilda's Club, and it was just again, it doesn't matter what venue, what event, just really gracious, kind, caring people,
wonderful.
and we as a group, like our cup was filled up because we had
Yeah.
not only accomplished working with our idol, but also like when you see you get to work with somebody that kind, you really feel like you take a piece of that positive energy with you.
Yeah. Well, and it's so cool that like it feels to me and like new to this, but just seeing your
Hmm.
community and seeing and hearing all of this, it really feels like improv just connects you to the other people
Yeah.
that love it too. Um, because it's a different I think we were talking about it yesterday. It's not the same. It's not just comedy. It ends up being funny, but it's not just
Hmm.
comedy. And
Hmm.
it's not scripted. It's really just going out there, learning the people that you're working with. So as far
Hmm.
as guys, as a team building or learning to connect and really just like pick up on the people around you. Actually, I wanted to share one, or if you could share one of the exercises we did that I found really cool, just to feel bonded with the group. The skateboard,
Hmm.
I'm gonna say it wrong, but the skateboarder guy, can
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
describe that? Do I
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
call
So
that or
one of the kind of, I'll call them icebreakers of sorts, but this is always an early curriculum, is a skateboarder. So effectively, if you can all stand in a circle, have a vision in your mind that we're all connected together,
yeah,
uh, through a track, and we got to pass a little skateboarder around the circle. Now, obviously, we had different variances of how to pass and different rules of
yeah,
when we can pass and where we can pass. And so what this really does, why it's such a staple in what we do, is because it gets people out of their head really quick. They have to be in the moment, because if not, they're going to sit there and be like, wait, what am I supposed to do? And with all the variables, and it's such a good simulation of what life really is, right?
yeah,
I have all these things, and all these things are coming down the track. I have to be able to handle them. So it really is a visualization of how do you manage being overloaded. And I think, again, touching on who your audience is here, and the
yeah,
industry that you're in, you can't just say, in many cases, I'm not taking phone calls for a week. I'm not
yeah,
answering emails in a week. That's just not an option. And so it's, how do you, I have an analogy about why consistency is important. I said, think of Canada Post. Canada Post cannot say, I'm locking my mailboxes because I have too much mail at the sorting plant.
yeah,
They have to keep those mailboxes open. And if people want to come and dump 100 letters a day,
yeah,
every day, they have to learn how to deal with it. And so this is teaching you the skills and giving you
yes,
a fun way to teach, to recognize yourself of how you use those skills and how well you work
yeah,
in that setting, in that simulating setting. And now stakes aren't high. It's really silly of passing this little, imaginary skateboard around, but it's that first intro to everybody to say, let's get connected and build
yeah,
something together and do something together as a group. And it's so powerful when you see it happen. But I love not explaining it, because I would love the feedback that we have in the class. So anytime we do, just if you're interested in the classes and or the drop-ins, we debrief about what this is. So you may be like,
sure,
I have no idea what this is. And Actually, I'll give you a small little story. I was in a class and I was teaching, and at the start, I give the same, safe, intro about safety, about respect,
Yeah.
about support. And I said, if you ever feel, so I just said, if you ever feel uncomfortable, like, let me know, or step out. And so we're doing an activity where we're doing funny movements or noises or something like that. And I said, so how was that? And somebody raised their hand and said, I just feel like you're trying to make us look silly. I said, great. I said, thank you so much for giving that back. I said, and so then that gave me the opportunity to sort of say, you know, you've done one part of the activity, but not the whole activity. So please bear with us on this. I promise you, I'm not abusing my power. I'm not looking to make you look silly. I'm not, snapping a picture and putting on the internet of you in a funny situation. That's not at all. That would breach everything we're about. So, um, after that, the feedback was, I get it now, right? It
Yeah.
was, we're doing these very low risk, low
Yeah.
threat sort of intro games, but there's such a strong meaning to it. And then even in that game, that that skateboarder game piggybacks on the first game that we do, right? So we're actually calling back from what we learned in the game 5 minutes
Yeah.
ago. So it really is well thought out and
You can
designed
tell.
with the experience in mind.
You can definitely tell. And I will say, so because as it's not really a secret, guys, I'm a huge nerd. So I've done this 3 times with 3 different groups, right? So the 2 workshops, first class. So I did it as a participant, but also because I too have ADHD, I was able to also be an observer.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed something very cool, and that's 3 different groups of people. Not one person stepped away, not one person couldn't do it, and everyone was able to go along with it. And that's, I mean, I don't know how many groups of people were always around, but to know that, like, it was a very good analogy for me that people are people, right? So if you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling nervous about going into a room, if you're feeling uncomfortable going to a networking event, it's just a group of people. We're all people. So really just like baseline. I just thought it was really cool. So we won't give away what it is anymore, but yeah, very
Yeah,
cool.
no secrets of the actual stuff
No
we'll be able to
secrets are
disclose,
being
but
revealed here, guys. Okay, so we have at Shut the Front Door, improv on Instagram, admin at shutthefrontdoor.com,
yep, yep. .com.
on email, or you can just fill something out on Facebook. You can reach out to me. I'll connect you. It really is a cool thing to do. And if you're looking for something, especially while we're always trying to learn, we're always trying to grow. But if you're looking for something to really just improve your ability to feel comfortable speaking, connecting, I definitely recommend this. And Brendan's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're
So
very welcome. I am loving it. I'm like, you can't tell. I know. You can't
I
tell.
and for your audience, I should also say you are so in it to win it. As a student, I couldn't ask for a better student. You're asking questions, you're trying to learn like every moment, and you're soaking it up like a sponge. Like it's that infectious energy that really magnetizes other people towards the class and the participation. I can't tell you how many times you encounter somebody who comes in 5 minutes after the class starts, and you can just tell they've just had a day that's defeated them. And when you come in, they're like, I wasn't sure. I've had several people come up to me and said, I had no energy, I had no drive to get up and do this, and I am so grateful I came tonight because I've laughed so hard and we
Yes.
made stuff up. Um, Actually, I will give an inside secret. The inside secret to some of the great improv is when you're more tired, you're less filtering yourself. And so
Yes.
when you're tired, it's best to come out to improv. When you're fresh that's why we don't do shut the front door seminars at 6 in the morning, because everybody would be sharp, ready to go, or 7 in the morning, fresh coffee, and away they go. Like you'd be too much in your head. But that's the trick we've learned over the years is if we hit the exhaustion, we kind of don't care anymore, and
Yeah.
the most beautiful, creative, hilarious, unexpected things come out, and that's when improv really takes off. So
Amazing. Amazing. Oh, Brayden, thank you so much for all you do and for
thanks
joining
for your
us
help.
today. Thank you. Guys, this is Krystal Lee Moore, Lucier, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor. Krystal Lee Moore, this is Realtor Life, and we'll see you next time. Bye.